Welcome to Feminist Utopia. It is a bit early for the holidays, but you know that the decorations are out at the mall already, and the ads are all over the media. So today, in our feminist utopia, we're going to explore a world where men and women share the burden of holiday cheer and work together to create the family memories and enjoy the holidays.
I have to say my Christmas miracle already came with the flipping of the Virginia legislature and with the possibility of a ratified ERA that I grew up listening to my mother work on. So I'm going into Thanksgiving with joy and glee in my heart.
Wonderful. And let's hope, along with that joy and glee, you can reclaim some of your unpaid time by refusing to do it all for the holidays and delegating some of that extra work to family members. The holidays are a really stressful time. And this isn't news. It's especially stressful to women. According to the American Psychological Association, women report higher levels of stress than men, and it's likely because we shoulder more of the work. And one thing that I found when doing this research that was upsetting is stress is a really serious problem, and women are at a higher risk for anything from exhaustion and irritability to more serious concerns like heart problems. And stress hormones in particular weaken the heart's main pumping faculties, and increased strain on the heart and body can lead to complications like trouble breathing, chest pain, or heart palpitations, especially for women like myself who are over the age of 50.
My mom died at 51 of a sudden heart attack, and she died on January 2nd. And it was, as usual, the holidays were her job. And to make things worse, my birthday is right around Christmas too, so it was everything all at once. And her sister had just entered the hospital, and my mom went to bed and didn't wake up. And she smoked, she had diabetes. I mean, there were other complicating factors. It wasn't like this was out of the blue.
Well, still at 51, it seems out of the blue.
It does, but her mom died at 55, but I take care of my heart health, and I have a cardiologist, and I take all my meds, and I do what I can. But I also think that the stress levels in her life shortened it. And there are a lot of women who have their first heart attacks right around the holiday season. My cardiologist sent an email out 2 years ago to all of her female patients about that. So you're right, is what I'm saying. You have data, I have anecdote.
There are a lot of reasons why our stress increases, and there's a lot of ways that we kind of contribute to it ourselves. We get stuck. We talk about the patriarchy and how it's so ubiquitous. It's like the air we breathe. We don't even see it. And I think that is the way it is about the holidays, because ostensibly, no man is telling you you have to decorate the house, and they might even be annoyed by it. But it is expected, and it's women's work. And we put these expectations on ourselves, and they come from, the media and other women. We're expected to have not only a perfectly decorated house, but all these elaborate meals and do all of this extra holiday baking and have perfect presents for anybody. And add on the fact that your family is supposed to be happy and there can't be any arguments or messiness, and all of that leads to stress.
Even Elf on the Shelf, that there are whole Pinterest boards devoted to the idea that every night, and it's usually the mom, has to create a new vision for what this stuffed animal does around your house. The list never ends around the holidays.
Right. And one of the things that Debbie and I did, we've spent some time and looked at the main factors that lead to stress and created a couple of workbooks that we're going to be offering to give you some ways to navigate the holiday season and hopefully ease your stress a little bit. We're going to make these workbooks available by just sending us your email address to info@feministutopia.net.
And we're going to have a form on our website if you'd rather do that instead, that you can just drop off your email.
We don't want to add to your stress by giving you something else to do, but we also want to offer you some concrete ways that you can minimize the stress because it's important for your health. It's important for all of us.
And not just minimize the stress, but bring more joy, make more memories, and actually enjoy the holidays. I have to say, a lot of these things Benita and I have actually done. So these are actually tested. And I really think that we have a better time because of it.
Right. We're even going to throw some recipes in there for you. And I just have to share an anecdote from my family. We go to the lakes. I used to have a lake house, and we would spend Christmas there, and it was gorgeous and the Minnesota lake country. And my parents would go. And one year, my parents weren't able to go, and it was just my siblings, and we chose to make lasagna for Christmas, and we made the lasagna beforehand. And my sister and I were just incredulous because we enjoyed the whole day. We played cards, we opened presents, we were visiting and so relaxed because we weren't spending the time putzing in the kitchen over, the turkey and this and that. And it was just an eye-opening experience that we had this make-ahead Christmas lasagna. And everybody enjoyed the lasagna.
And no one, felt that they needed a meal that just took 6 hours of your time while they sat there wondering where you were. I mean, and I do think other family members want to spend time with us in these moments. It isn't that they get tremendous joy from us slaving over a turkey. My family for Christmas, well, we're not Christian, but we call it our Merry Jumas, and we go out to see a movie and get Chinese food. And now I live in an area that has a lot of Jewish people, and the Chinese restaurants were too crowded last year. So we're going to pre-order our Chinese food so I don't have to deal with the stress of even ordering it on Christmas Day. So it's all these little tweaks. It's about making time, finding time, and your family wants to see you happy, relaxed, and enjoying the holiday too.
It is a little bit early, but obviously we're all thinking about the holidays. It isn't Thanksgiving yet, but we'd like to encourage you to do some examination and figure out if the way that you do the holidays really works for you. And, taking just a couple minutes to go through our worksheet on holiday traditions can save you a lot of stress and hassle in the future. One of the things Julie and my sister and I realized was, my mom wasn't at the lake, and she was really the reason why we were all putzing in the kitchen, because we didn't feel like we could leave my mom to do all the work. And I'm sure that my mom had the expectation that we all wanted her to be making this big meal because she's done it for so long. And just, by stopping and thinking, gee, does she really want to do that? Do we really want to do that? Is this really what makes Christmas special, having turkey? And we came to the realization that, that's not what we want to do with our time. The turkey isn't what makes Christmas Christmas for us. So we kind of eliminated that huge family tradition in favor of something simpler that would allow us to spend more time together. And you might look at the traditions that you're doing and say, Elf on the Shelf just isn't worth it, or whatever it is.
I have to say, Benita did most of the work on the Holiday Memories book, and I went through it. And I completely changed what we're doing for Thanksgiving based on it. I asked questions with Brian and we went through it together. And I'm coming back from a trip on Thanksgiving Day. And we were like, oh, I'll cook Thanksgiving on Friday. And we decided, no, we don't want to spend all this time on cooking, buying, prepping, all that stuff. So we're buying Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving Day, stopping on our way back home from the airport. And we're going to enjoy a nice Thanksgiving dinner with food we're purchasing from Maggiano's and cleaning up and then playing games because we like board games too. So it completely just going through that just kind of cleared out a lot of expectations.
Yeah. And the holidays are about being thankful and celebrating family and just re examining what you are doing through that lens to see if you really are honoring your values by the traditions you choose to continue.
Exactly.
So, part of a lot of family traditions is buying presents, and there's an incredible pressure. Women worry more than men about the finances of the holidays, how much to spend, and what gifts to buy. And it affects women at all economic levels.
Exactly.
And there's that tendency to overspend to meet perceived expectations.
I saw a lot of that when I would go with my dad to my aunt's family. I have 6 cousins. I had to stop and count them. And I was an only child. And there had to be a certain number of presents for each person in that room. And when you have that many kids, that can really get expensive really, really fast. And I remember talking with my aunt about this a couple years ago. And she's like, oh, we took all year to pay off Christmas. And then it was Christmas again. And then I had to buy presents for everybody all over again. Like it really wore on her in a way that I obviously didn't understand when I was a kid. But, you know, even looking at my own kids, they're like, I want this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no. But then I feel badly because I'm like,
And it's easier when they're younger because you can satisfy them for a lot less money. When they start hitting the teen years and what they want is a brand new phone or a new gaming system or, um, the latest in fashion, it is really challenging. You might have a budget of $150, $200 to spend on each kid, and that doesn't even buy you a half of a phone.
right. And it's funny you mentioned that because we also came up with a gift giving guide that has some suggestions and ideas on other things that might have more meaning as opposed to a new phone. Although I try to convince my 15-year-old he doesn't need one, but yeah, whatever. It's a ongoing process. We've always done you get a want, you get a need, and you get a read. You get something you want, you get something you need. I've never given him socks yet, but it's on the table, and a book. So it helps gives me structure. I don't know if they approve of it.
I've have heard about that before, and I think it's a great idea. My family does gift exchange. And when we were getting together and going out to the lake and the kids were little, we bought under 18, everybody, I bought for all the under 18, but then everybody over 18, we put their names in and we drew a name and we had a budget, we had a price limit, and I bought one gift.
That's really smart for those bigger family
Yeah,
holiday
because
events.
there's over, when we get all together, there's like 25 of us.
Oof.
And even if you're spending $10 on gifts, it's still a lot of money and it's hard to find something that is going to work for everybody. I mean, our family, a gift exchange really worked well. And now that we're all older, we say that the money spent to get together is enough of a gift.
Oh, see, that's lovely.
Yeah, we don't exchange gifts anymore.
You know, what I really like about that gift exchange concept is that it avoids those $10 gifts that I call them gifts that show you care, but in an abstract sort of way. It's the little perfume gift set or,
A mug with the hot chocolate stuffed in it, and
exactly. Those gifts that say you care, but in an abstract sort of way, because they don't really know you well enough or have enough. It's not meant for you. These are things they sell at Walgreens.
yeah. But I mean, if you look at your Pinterest feed, there's all kinds of gift ideas, and it makes you feel like, oh, I should handcraft a gift or put something together myself. Or, I mean, that's a whole level of expectation, and also who you buy gifts for. Do you
Yes.
get a gift for the frickin' mailman and the garbage men and every teacher your child has? And the list can get really long and out of control.
From my teacher friends, do not get them another mug with hot chocolate mix in it. Just don't.
Or an apple chotsky, or
Exactly.
yeah, you know what I did when my daughter was in school? I bought something for the classroom. They always need stuff for the classroom. Get a board game. Get, a gift card. Well, no, I'm not even telling you need to buy these teachers a gift.
There you go. Make it easier.
It's so stressful at the holidays. One of the things that we tend to do, and I do this and I'm guilty of just doing it, was should on yourself.
Oh.
When you start to say, "Oh, you should," or "I should," that's a cue. When you hear yourself saying that should, it generally means that you feel pressure to do something, but you really don't want to do it. So if you can use that as a cue to replace that should with could, and then add in another option, like you should buy your teacher a gift. Oh, I could buy a teacher a gift, or I could also volunteer one time, or I could bring in some cookies, or I could, the list is endless. So when you start hearing yourself with that should, try flipping it around to a could.
I absolutely love that. Yes.
Yeah, go away to ease your stress, because I have a little plaque on my desk, and it says things I need to do today. And then breathe in, breathe out. And when you get down to the bare bones, honestly,
that is
that is
it.
what you need to do today. There's consequences if I choose not to do anything else, but honestly, that's really all you need to do.
And I really like that. And going back to, you said there's consequences. I think one of the important things we have to do is to forget the idea of perfect. Forget Pinterest. Forget Martha Stewart. This is not meant to be a magazine cover. This is the holiday season in your home with your family and your friends. You may be chosen family, whoever. And it was very liberating for me when instead of hosting the annual Hanukkah party with a new custom made Hanukkah pinata, very traditional, let me assure you, um, and all those things, to say, you know what? It became a burden that people would start asking me about it. So when is it? I want to put it on my calendar. And then I was having all these people show up. And then I'm like, boy, it just made me hate Hanukkah. I was like dreading it. I'm like, I don't want to dread one of my favorite holidays. And so I was very lucky in that it doesn't have necessarily the same emotional demands as Christmas. But people complained when I said, I'm not doing the full on, I make all the food and all the decorations and that for Hanukkah. We decided to make it a much smaller, less effort oriented thing, and people could bring things. And I enjoyed it so much more. And I think other people did too, because they were also more part of it. It wasn't something I did from above, it was something we built together. And so letting go of that decision of trying to keep up with Pinterest.
There's nothing more stressful than a host that is stressed out.
Yes. Or drunk and stressed out. That was me by the last one.
When you decide you're going to forget perfect and relax, your guests have a better time too.
Yes, they do. I was like, did they really? Yes. So it was an interesting. We no longer have a Hanukkah party, by the way, but we moved from the area where we did. But that was an eye opener for me.
Yeah. And that's another thing when we talk about in the workbook of examining your expectations, just the knowledge that you can let go of perfect and end up with something better.
Yeah, it was so
You
much
know?
better. I had friends bring Jello shots, and I was like, I'd have never thought of that. I mean, I had a party with Jello shots now.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And letting go of perfect, not doesn't just go to food and decor and gift giving. It also goes to the experiences that people have, and not every event that I've ever hosted had everybody getting along just perfectly. And it wasn't my fault, and I had to unlearn some very deeply ingrained misogyny about that it was not my responsibility to make everybody get along at Thanksgiving.
Right. I mean, we all have these unreasonable expectations, and we're bombarded with these messages that the holidays are wonderful and everything should be right and families all get along and everybody puts their best behavior on for Christmas. And, just because it's Christmas, the issues your family has all the other times of the year don't go away and they don't change easily. And there's going to be, if there's been tension before, there's going to be tension again on Christmas Day. And you need to just be aware of that. And like Debbie said, it's nobody's fault. It is what it is. And we need a game plan to work around it. And I think sometimes just recognizing that there probably are going to be conflicts is a stress reliever because you're not invested in making it perfect.
And I do have to say, in the workbook that we created for this, we talk about having a plan, and having a plan in those situations kept me sane. When I could envision it was going to happen, what was I going to say? What was I going to do? And then when it happened, as I knew it inevitably would, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. I wasn't blindsided by it. My hopes weren't crushed that this was going to be a conflict-free event. I just handled it and moved on. It was like my kids spilling their milk. Okay, you clean it up and you're done. And that little trick alone saved so much holiday stress for me.
Right. Even if it's something that you can't escape, you can always take a break and go to the bathroom. You can always step outside and go for a walk, even just around the block.
I'm sure at one family event, my mother-in-law thought I must have some sort of bladder infection because I was always popping off to the bathroom. But I was a lot happier at the end of it, and my sister-in-law's face was intact. So,
One of the things that you mentioned, and we talked about, you have to expect these things are going to happen. I used to enjoy listening to a psychologist that had a radio show called Dr. Joy Brown. And I learned something from listening on that radio that has served me very well. And that is, you can't expect oranges from an apple tree.
ooh, that's good.
I use this in relationship. My family is an apple tree. And just because it's the holidays doesn't mean they're going to all of a sudden change and I'm going to get oranges from it. But I still have that expectation sometimes. Like, inevitably, plans get changed without my knowledge. I'll have everything planned and communicate the plans, and we have all agreed this is the plan. And the day of, something comes up, and one or another of my family members changes the plan, and I'm left out of the loop. And it's really upsetting. But I can't expect my apples in my family to turn into oranges and not change their plans. It's easier on all of us if I recognize that these plans are fluid and subject to change and I have to make the effort to be in contact and make sure that I know what's going on.
That is so wise because, as I mentioned, it's my sister-in-law. She doesn't listen to the podcast, so I can say whatever the hell I want. We don't get along. We're very different people. And I think from the time I've met her, she felt that she could improve me, make me more driven, make me more whatever, more like her. And I took it as an insult. I took it as all these things, but she's an apple and I'm an orange. And she keeps trying to turn me to an apple. That isn't going to happen. But at the same time, I can't turn her into an orange like me. And leave me alone. She is not going to leave me alone.
Right. And you know this going in.
I knew this going in.
So you come up with a strategy for handling it, and it does make things less stressful. And does it piss me off that I have to make sure that I'm in constant contact and am the one that's saying, okay, is this still happening? Kinda. Do I feel like I should have to do it? No, I don't feel like I should have to do it, but it's bothering me and it's a problem for me. So unless I take steps to alleviate that problem, it's not going to change.
And it's changing for you. And then you can get into the whole racist Uncle Bob thing, which is its own separate episode. And how to handle that kind of conflict. We're talking in this instance. I'm not suggesting that if you have a relative who's disavowing your very existence, that you have to recognize you're not changing them and absorb their anger. This is not what we're saying. We're saying that in these situations, where it's not denying your existence or your personhood, it's accept that the oranges and apples. And, and I think that it's better for me to accept that my sister-in-law is just going to do this. I can't change it any more than she can change me. Oh, wow, it just occurred to me. I bet she's really frustrated that in almost 20 years, I have not taken a single piece of her advice.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, my gosh. Such joy.
But I think recognizing the whole apple oranges difference is part of picking your battles. And like you mentioned, the family Christmas dinner isn't probably the right place to pick that battle with racist Uncle Jimmy. But just knowing that he's going to say something racist and planning your response can be helpful.
Yes.
Even if that response is leaving the table or leaving the room, or, if it's safe for you to speak up, speak up. If it's not safe, I'm
a big fan of the eye roll. Evidently, I roll my eyes a lot. And it makes people feel demeaned, but I'm okay with that in cases like racist Uncle Bob. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this episode. And as Benita mentioned, we have 4 or 5 workbooks, separate workbooks covering food and entertainment, family budget, togetherness, memories,
gift giving.
There's the 5th one. And we're giving all of these away for free. We'll be posting on our Facebook page the links to where you can drop off your email and we can email them to you. I have personally found these very useful. I think these are a tremendous resource, especially for free. And all we need is your email.
Right. And hopefully we're getting them out in time for them to make a difference and help you have a less stressful holiday this year.
Yes. Thank you for listening. And next episode, we're going to be talking about the next round of Democratic presidential debates.
Right, and there are going to be even more candidates, not less candidates.
This isn't working the way the DNC intended.
Right.
Also kind of brings me joy, but there need to be fewer candidates. Anyway, have a good week.
Thanks for listening.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today at Feminist Utopia. If you like our work, please give us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you access our podcast so others can find it as well. You may also become a Feminist Utopia patron at patreon.com to show your appreciation. Remember, patrons get perks.
And check out our blog and other resources at our website, feministutopia.net. Email us your idea of what a feminist utopia would look like or any questions to info@feministutopia.net. We appreciate you taking the time to listen and grow with us. Feminist Utopia is created by Debbie Williams and Benita Malone.